හරිම සුළුයි.
Tonight on First at 9 this Thursday, the 9th of November 2023. SLC turmoil. Parliament unanimously passes the motion on the removal of the office bearers of Sri Lanka cricket. Funds runs. Sri Lanka cricket says no attempt was made to transfer Sri Lanka cricket money to a third party and denies ministers' allegations to attempt to remove $2 million. Postponed. Token strike initiated by the United Postal Trade Union Front to end tonight. No action to be taken against participants of the strike. Budget expectations. Export Development Chairman asked the government to establish a network of development banks to fund the SME sector.
One of the most effective ways to find a solution to the present foreign exchange crisis is to increase our...
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දිනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
From AdaDerana. This is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and a warm welcome to you from AdaDerana's English News First at 9. I'm Jonathan Benedict. Let's take a look at our top stories for the day. The joint proposal regarding the removal of the office bearers of Sri Lanka cricket presented by the government and the opposition has been passed unanimously in Parliament without a vote. The proposal was submitted to the Parliament by opposition leader Sajid Premadasa following the recent controversies after the national team's defeat at the ongoing ICC World Cup and the sports minister's decision to dismiss the SLC board. The debate on the motion titled Removal of Corrupt Office Bearers, including the President from Sri Lanka Cricket, took place today, as decided by the Committee on Parliamentary Affairs last evening. The relevant proposal submitted to the Parliament by the opposition leader was seconded by the ruling party.
ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ක්‍රිකට් ක්‍රීඩාවේ උන්නතිය සඳහා දූෂිත වර්තමාන ශ්‍රී ලංකා ක්‍රිකට් ආයතනයේ සභාපති ඇතුළු නිලධාරී මණ්ඩලය වහා ඉවත් විය යුතුයයිද නව නීති පද්ධතියක් පනතක් කරහා සම්මත කළ යුතුයයිද මෙම පාර්ලිමේන්තුව යෝජනා සම්මත කර සිටිනවා.
සභාවකගෙද නායකතුමා විසින් ඉදිරිපත් කරන ලබන යෝජනාව මම විස්තර කරනවා.
පරිපාලනයේ යෙදී සිටින මේ කණ්ඩායමට කියන්න කැමති ඔබට නම්බුවක් තියෙනවා නම් මං හිතන්නේ නම්බුවක් නැහැ. තියෙන පොඩි නම්බුව හරි රැකගෙන අද දවසේ ඔබ ඉවත් වෙන්න. ඉවත් විය යුතුයි. අපි ඡන්දෙන් සම්මත කිරීම තුලින් ඒකෙන් අපි පෙන්වන්නේ අපේ හඬ අවදි කිරීමක්. රටට අපි පෙන්නනවා අපි එකතුයි කියලා. හැබැයි ඒක වුණයි කියලා. හිතනවද මේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා ක්‍රිකට් එකේ ඉන්න හොර කල්ලිය ජාවාරම් කල්ලිය අද හෝ හෙට ඉවත් වෙයි කියලා. ඒගොල්ලෝ ඉවත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ශ්‍රී ලංකා ක්‍රිකට් එකෙන් හොදට කනවා නම් හොදට සල්ලි විනාශ කරනවා නම් මොකද්ද ඒ නීතිය? මොකද්ද ඒ රීතිය? මට තර්ජන ගර්ජනත් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. මට කෝල් කරලා කියනවා මේවා ගැන කතා කරන්න එපයි කියලා. No ID numbers වලින් ඇවිල්ලා කියනවා. මුන්ට මම බය වෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම රොෂාන් රණසිංහ මැතිතුමා. මම නම් බොහොම කැමතියි එතුමාව මගේ පැත්තට ගන්න. ඒක මම කියන්න එලිවිට.
Honorable opposition leader, thank you very much for your appreciation. It's a huge courage for me to move forward. ගරු කතානායකතුමනි මට දැන් පණිවිඩයක් ලැබෙනවා මේ අය මේ වෙනකොට ලංකා බැංකුවේ නිදහස් චතුරාශ්‍රයේ තියෙන ගිණුමෙන් ඩොලර් මිලියන 2ක් ගන්න කටයුතු කරන්න උත්සාහ කරනවායි කියන. ඉතින් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන නිසා කළමනාකාරතුමා ඉහළින් උපදෙස් ඉල්ලලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒ වගේම මේ ගිණුම් වල මුදල් ගැනීම සහ පැහැදිලි දූෂණයක් තියෙනවා. මෙතුමලගේ ගමන් බලපත්‍ර අත්හිටවන්න මොකද්ද අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් පියවර කියලා. මොකද දැන් එක පුද්ගලයෙක් නෑ රටේ. ඉතින් තවත් අපි කල්මැරීම තුල මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ කියන එක ප්‍රශ්නයක්.
මේක සත්‍යයක් නම් මෙහෙම ඩොලර් මිලියන 2ක් විත්ඩ්‍රෝ කරන්න හදනවා නම් දැන් ඉන්න පාලකයන්ට මේ බලු වැඩ කරන්න ඉඩ දෙන්න එපා. මේ ඇත්තටම බලුවත් කරන්න නැති වැඩ.
වගේ කීතු ආණ්ඩුවක් හැටියට වගේ කීතු විධායකයෙක් තියෙන ආණ්ඩුවක් හැටියට අපි මේ සඳහා විසඳුමක් දැනටමත් අපි ඉදිරිපත් කළා තියෙනවා. අලි සබ්‍රී මැතිතුමා විපක්ෂ නායකතුමාට දුන්න චිත්‍රසිරි ඒ වාර්තාව පදනම් කරගෙන අපි ටිකක් හදලා තියෙනවා. සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම දේශපාලනීකරණය ඉවත් වෙන්න.
ඇමතිතුමාට බලයක් නෑ ඒ පනත අනුව.
මේකේ ප්‍රධාන ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ ඇත්තටම මේක අරගෙන ඉන්න කීප දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවනේ. පවුල් කීපයක් නේ තියෙන්නේ. හරියට බලන්නකෝ. සුමතිපාල පවුල කාලයක් මේ ක්‍රිකට් බෝඩ් එකේ ආධිපත්‍ය දරනවා. ඊළඟට ධර්මදාස පවුල. ඊළඟට කනගාටු රණතුංග පවුල. ඒතර මේ ධර්මදාස පවුලයි රණතුංග පවුලයි සුමතිපාල පවුලයි විතරද ක්‍රිකට් පාලනය දරන්න ඕනේ. එතන පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. පොඩි නෙමෙයි ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක්. ඔබතුමා පත් කරපු අතුරු කමිටුව පත් කරපු එක හොඳයි. හැබැයි කමිටුවට පත් කරපු පුද්ගලයෝ පිළිබඳව සැකයක් තියෙනවා.
ආරාධනා කරා ගොඩකට සිදත් වෙත්ත මුනි මහත්මයාට කතා කරා, රොෂාන් මහනාම් මහත්මයාට කතා කරා, චමින්දවාස් මහත්මයාට කතා කරා. ලංකාවේ ඉන්නේ එච්චරයි. මොකද අනිත් මිනිස්සු දාලා ගිහිල්ලා මේ හොරගුලත් එක්ක වැඩ කරන්න බෑ කියලා දාලා ගිහිල්ලා. ඒක නිසා තමයි එතුමාව පත් කරේ. ඒ වගේම විනිසුරුවරුන් තුදෙනෙකු පත් කරේ මේ කමිටුවට පැහැදිලිවම කිව්වොත් මේ පිළිබඳ විමර්ශනය කරන්න. දැන් බලන්නකෝ ක්‍රිකට් එකම ඊයේ විනිසුරුව තුන්දෙනා මම පත් කරපු තුන්දෙනා ඒගොල්ලෝ දාගන්න ඉල්ලනවනේ. ඉතින් මං දේශපාලන බැදිහත් වීමක් නැති බව ලෝකෙට කියනවනේ ක්‍රිකට් එක.
හැබැයි පනත් සම්මත කර සැනින් ඒකට විසඳුම් ලැබෙනවද කියන එක තමයි තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ. ඒක ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න තියෙන මොකද්ද නීතිමය බැඳියාව. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි මේ කරන්නේ පීඩනයක් යෙදීමක්ද? පීඩනයක් යෙදීමක් නම් ඒක හරි.
විපක්ෂය උත්සාහ කරනවා නම් තමන්ගේ පාට කණ්ණාඩියට මේ සියල්ල නතු කරලා මම මේක කරා මම අරක කරා මම තමයි මේ යෝජනාව ගෙනාවේ කියලා ඒ තමන් හිතනවා නම් එහෙම දේශපාලන වාසියක් ගන්න. ඔය දේශපාලන වාසිය ගන්න වගේ මේක පාරාවලල්ලක් වෙලා ආපහු අනිත් පැත්තට පහර ලැබෙන්න පුළුවන්. හරි ICC එකෙන් ක්‍රිකට් තහනම් කරොත් ලංකාවේ. ඒකටත් වග කියනවා. නිසා කරු සභාපතිතුමනි අපිට තියෙන විශාල වගකීමක්.
අභ්‍යාචනාධිකරණයේ එකම අධිකරණයකින් දීපු තහනම් නියෝග 3ක් තියෙනවා. ඒ පළවෙනි තහනම් නියෝගය තමයි World Cup T20 තරඟාවලියේදී සිදුවෙච්ච දූෂණ වංචා පිළිබඳව නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීමට කටයුතු කිරීම අධිකරණයෙන් තහනම් කරලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට ගරු චිත්‍රසිරි මැතිතුමාගේ වාර්තාව අනුව අලුත් ව්‍යවස්ථාවක් ශ්‍රී ලංකා ක්‍රිකට් වලට හදන්න මැතිතුමා ගත්ත තීන්දුව ඒ අධිකරණයේ විසින්ම ඒකත් තහනම් කරලා තියෙනවා. මේ දැන් මාස දෙකකට විතර කලින්. ඒ නියෝගය තාමත් වළංගුයි. එතකොට ඒ අධිකරණයෙන්ම තුන්වෙනි තහනම් නියෝගය තමයි දීලා තියෙන්නේ. ඇමතුමා ගත්ත තීරණය කමිටුව අත්හිටුවන්නත් අතුරු කමිටුවක් පත් කරන්නත්. ඉතින් එතන තමයි ක්‍රිකට් හිර වෙලා තියෙන්නේ.
මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ අද දෙපැත්තම එකතු වෙලා තියෙනවා. ජාතික ජන බලවේගයේ හැර අනිත් පක්ෂ ඔක්කොම ඉන්නවා. එතුමාලා මේකට එකඟද මොකද්ද කියන එක අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. මේ රටේ 2 කෝටි 20 ලක්ෂයක මහජන පරමාධිපත්‍ය මේ රැස් වෙලා ඉල්ලන්නේ ඔබ කරුණා කළා ගෞරවාන්විතව ඉල්ලාස් වෙන්න කියන එක.
විවාදයේ අතරතුරේදී අධිකරණයේ විවේචනය කිරීම වැනි කාරණා සිද්ධ වුණා. ඒ ගැන අපි කනගාටුව ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා. අපේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ මතය නෙමෙයි.
අධිකරණය නෙවෙයි. අධිකරණ තීන්දුව. අධිකරණ තීන්දුව පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ඇතුළත් පුළුවන් එළියෙත් පුළුවන්. තුවා මේක පටලවන්න එපා හොදේ.
හරි. බොහොම ස්තුතියි. ඒකමතික යෝජනාව අද සභාව සම්මත කරනවද? සභාව එකඟද? සභාව එකඟද කියන්නේ? ඡන්දයක් පවත්වනට සභාව එකඟද? දැන් ඒකමතිකව සම්මත කරුවා. සියලු දෙනාම සම්මත කෙරුවා.
මේ යෝජනාව විපක්ෂයෙන් ඉදිරිපත් කරා. ආණ්ඩුවෙන් ඒක ස්ථීර කරා. මේ යෝජනාව සම්මතයි. මේ යෝජනාවට අපි සියලු දෙනාම එකගයි. විපක්ෂය විරුද්ධ නම් අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. විපක්ෂය විරුද්ධ නම් අපරාධ මේක ගෙනාවේ.
සභාව එකගයි. යෝජනාව සම්මතයි. සභාවේ වැඩ කටයුතු හෙට දින උදෑසන 9:30 වනතුරු කල් තබනු ලැබේ.
Meanwhile, Sri Lanka Cricket denying the allegations levelled by Sports Minister Roshan Ranasinghe regarding the purported fund transfer of $2 million from its account, said that the funds are solely for operational purposes and are not indicative of any attempt to transfer funds out of SLC's accounts. Sri Lanka Cricket further confirmed that measures have been taken to release a schedule to the Parliament and to the Ministry of Sports pertaining to pending payments, for which cheques have been issued to suppliers, stakeholders and third parties who have provided services to SLC.
Denying the allegations made by the sports minister, SLC emphasized that any claims accusing the cricket board of attempting to transfer funds of $2 million out of its accounts are false and factually incorrect. Issuing a statement, SLC said that as the governing entity for cricket in Sri Lanka, funds and income coming in US dollars are intentionally kept in US dollar accounts to leverage exchange rate fluctuations. However, funds are subsequently transferred to local accounts to carry out its operations in Sri Lanka and fulfill financial obligations to stakeholders including suppliers on a regular basis. SLC said these transfers are solely for operational purposes and are not indicative of any attempt to transfer funds out of SLC's accounts, and the claims made in the outward remittance of money to third parties have been made with ulterior motives, aiming to create unnecessary public unrest against SLC. The governing body, according to the constitution of SLC, prohibit cash payments exceeding 10,000 rupees. SLC said that in order to clarify this confusion, steps have been taken to release a schedule to the Parliament and to the Ministry of Pending Payments, for which cheques have been issued to suppliers, stakeholders and third parties who have provided services to SLC covering the period 17th August 2023 to 8th November 2023. SLC said that in order to clarify this confusion, steps have been taken to release a schedule to the Parliament and the Ministry of Pending Payments, for which cheques have been issued to suppliers, stakeholders and third parties who have provided services to SLC covering the period 17 August 2023 to 8 November 2023.
In other news, the United Postal Trade Union Front launched a token strike yesterday, which continued at several post offices around the island, including the General Post Office in Colombo. However, requesting all postal workers to report to work tomorrow, State Minister of Mass Media Shanta Bandara pledged that no legal action will be initiated against the participants of the strike.
A token strike launched by the United Postal Trade Unions Front began yesterday, expressing objection to the decision taken to divest the buildings which house the Noor Post Office and the Kandy Post Office to private corporations. As such, postal workers have now been continuing the token strike for 48 hours. The leave of all postal workers have been cancelled with immediate effect for the 3 days, November 8th, 9th and 10th. However, the token strike continued in several post offices today, including the General Post Office in Colombo. According to the United Postal Trade Unions Front, nearly 1 million bags are stuck at the Central Mail Exchange. Meanwhile, United Postal Trade Unions Front, together with civil organizations of Noor area, engaged in a protest in Noor area this afternoon.
මේ සියලු දෙනාගේම එකම හඬ තමයි මේ තැපැල් කාර්යාලය විකුණන්නට දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන එක. පාලකයන්ට අපි කියනවා නුවරඑළිය තැපැල් කාර්යාලය කොහොමත් අපි විකුණන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ නිසා ඒ අදහස අත්හරින්න නැත්නම් නොනවතින අඛණ්ඩ අරගලවලට එළඹෙන්නට පුළුවන්.
In the meantime, State Minister of Mass Media Shanta Bandara says no legal action will be taken against postal workers engaged in the token strike.
මේ ගොඩනැගිල්ලත් ආරක්ෂා කරගෙන මේ භූමිය පරිශ්‍රය ඒ ආයෝජනයක් සඳහා ලබා දීමට තමයි අපේ එකඟතාවය තියෙන්නේ. නුවරඑළිය ප්‍රදේශයේ ඇතැම් නිලධාරීන් හරියට මේ කාරණය sannivedanaya නොකරපු නිසා තමයි යම් මතභේදාත්මක තත්ත්වයක් ඇති වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ ප්‍රශ්නය ජනාධිපතිතුමා සමග සාකච්ඡා කරලා විසඳනවා. මම ඊටාම ගෞරවයෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා තැපැල්ලේ සියලුම සේවකයින්ගෙන් හෙට සිට සියලු දෙනා සේවයට වාර්තා කරන්න. අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ නැහැ නීතිමය වශයෙන් ඔවුන්ට දඬුවම් දීමේ කටයුත්ත.
However, the United Postal Trade Unions Front says that postal workers are expected to call off their 48-hour token strike from midnight today.
Now, as the country continues to experience heavy rains, the Department of Meteorology says that heavy rainfall exceeding 75 millimeters is expected to continue through the course of the day tomorrow as well. The National Building Research Organization has also issued early landslide warnings to several divisional secretariats of 6 districts island-wide, with the current weather progressing the way it is.
As the southwest monsoons continue to affect the island, several areas including Colombo experienced heavy rainfall. The highest rainfall recorded within the past 24 hours was reported from the Kuliyapiti area in Kurunegala, amounting to 107.2 millimeters of rainfall. In its forecast for tomorrow, the Met Department highlighted that showers or thunder showers are likely to occur at several places in most provinces over the island after 1 p.m. It also said that fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters are likely at certain places in the western, central, Sabaragamuwa, northwestern and Uva provinces. The Met Department also warned of mist, which is expected in certain places in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, north central and Uva provinces during the morning. Meanwhile, the National Building Research Organization issued early landslide warnings to 6 districts in the island. Accordingly, early landslide warnings were issued to several divisional secretariat divisions of the Badulla, Hambantota, Kandy, Kegol, Matara and Ratnapura districts.
The body of the Sri Lankan national Sujith Bandara Yatavara, who was killed in the Israel-Hamas conflict, was repatriated to the island this morning. Yatavara was initially suspected to have been taken hostage by the Palestinian militant group Hamas. However, he was later confirmed dead during the Hamas attacks in Israel. He had remained missing since October 7th, the day Hamas militants stormed in from the blockaded Gaza Strip into nearby Israeli towns to launch an unprecedented attack. Subsequently, the DNA samples provided by Pandara's children were sent to Israel for further investigations. Yatavara, who hails from Vennapur, had travelled to Israel in 2015 for a job opportunity. According to our AdaDerana correspondent, the Fly Dubai flight carrying Yatavara's remains touched down at the Bandaranaike International Airport in Katunayake at around 8:37 a.m. today. The deceased's wife and 2 children aged 13 and 9 were present at the airport premises to receive the casket. The final rites of Yatavara are scheduled to be carried out at the Madawalapitiya Public Cemetery in Vennapur. Moving on to news in brief, a coir factory at the Navagampura Industrial Estate in Ampara was burnt down after a spark during a welding job ignited the factory. It was eventually doused with the combined efforts of the Air Force and the Fire and Rescue Unit. Meanwhile, in Muskelia, legal action was taken against 20 restaurants and shops which sold food items not suitable for human consumption. Needless to say, that probably left a bad taste in the mouths of the neighbouring diners. With that, let's take a look at other developments from around the island in brief.
A fire broke out in a coir factory at the Navagampura Industrial Estate in Ampara this afternoon. A spark during a welding job at the factory had reportedly ignited the fire. The Air Force, together with the Fire and Rescue Unit of the Ampara Municipal Council, took measures to control the fire. During an emergency inspection carried out in the Norwood area in Muskelia, 20 restaurants and shops which sold food items not suitable for consumption were identified. Accordingly, medical officers of Muskelia took legal action against 20 restaurants and shops. Certain restaurants and shops which were subjected to inspections were given 14 days to rectify their deficiencies. An individual in the Aswatha area in Kosgama was reported dead after a firearm which was being prepared by him exploded. The deceased was identified to be a 59-year-old. The police suspect that the individual could have been preparing the firearm in order to chase away monkeys in the area who are said to be inconveniencing the residents of the area.
We have business news after this short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Aitken Spence Shipping Private Limited, a subsidiary of Aitken Spence, is scheduled to welcome super luxury passenger yacht MV Ida Bella to Colombo today. The vessel, operated by Ida Cruises Germany with 1,900 passengers and 730 crew on board, were called at the port of Colombo whilst on travel. The vessel consists of 1,025 guest rooms on 13 decks, which can accommodate up to 2,500 passengers and a crew of 750. This luxury liner has 12 bars and clubs, 3 lounges and 8 pools, 7 restaurants to cater to the passengers' culinary tastes. Having aggressively promoted cruise invitations, Aitken Spence is inspired to see their efforts materialize with more cruise calls scheduled in the following months. In order to rectify the foreign reserve crisis faced by Sri Lanka, the Export Development Board says that higher priority needs to be given to encourage the small and medium-scale businesses to engage in exports. Joining the Budget Expectation segment, Chairman of the Export Development Board, Dr. Kingsley Bernard, echoing these thoughts, said that the government should implement a wider network of development banks for SME sector businesses to obtain loans for investment in business operations. He further added that more support is needed by the industry to promote their businesses on a global platform in order to attract investors to the country.
One of the most effective ways to find a solution to the present foreign exchange crisis Sri Lanka is faced with is to increase our exports. And in order to increase our exports, we need to look at the SME sector. SME sector contributes to about 52% of the GDP. However, its contribution to exports is around 10%. One major problem they are faced with right now is the lack of financial resources, the capital. Now, these SMEs do not have collateral to offer to the banks to get loans. We need to have a very strong set of development banks in this country so that those banks can offer credit to these potential companies so that they can engage in export business without having to pay a large percentage of loans. As a result of that, the number of exporters who are in this country will be increased tremendously. The SME sector offers employment to about 3.5 million people in the country. That is almost 45% of the total employment in the country. In addition to increasing exports, we can offer a lot of facilities to the people in finding good employment. Then, in addition to this, there are a number of ways we can help the export sector by introducing their products and promoting them in international markets. In the world, there are a large number of trade fairs every year. Participation in these trade fairs for SME sector is a major difficulty because they don't have the financial resources to participate in those trade fairs. If the government can offer certain assistance for these small and medium enterprises participate in these trade fairs and exhibitions, that would help them to promote their products and services. And one important sector in promoting is the IT BPO sector, where a lot of newcomers are there, startup projects are there, and they just start with their resources where they have the expertise, but they don't have the financial resources. When it comes to promoting Sri Lankan products and services, EDB is planning to promote a Sri Lankan export brand. We will be launching this brand in our Presidential Exports Awards ceremony in this month, which is to be held on the 23rd. And using this export brand, most of our exporters will get the opportunity of having this particular brand on their products so that they will be recognized in international markets.
Moving on to stocks, the Colombo Stock Exchange turned direction after 3 consecutive days of enjoying green closes to close lower today as financial stocks and price losses in counters such as Melster Corp, Haleys and LOLC weighed the bourse down. The CSE All Share Index rested 0.4% down at 10,889.48 points, with LOLC Holdings and Senkadagala Finance claiming the spot of top losers, falling 2.17% and 11.33% respectively. Trading volume dropped to 36.7 million shares from 77.3 million shares in the previous sessions as investors shored up their reserves. Equity market turnover, however, spiked to 2.39 billion rupees from 1.82 billion rupees in the previous session. According to exchange data, crossings were witnessed in Sri Lanka Telecom and John Keel's Holdings, accounting for 54.7% of the turnover. Mixed interest was observed in Expo Lanka Holdings, Hatton National Bank and Axis Engineering, whilst retail interest was noted in Brown's Investments, Dialogue Asiata and Merchant Bank of Sri Lanka and Finance. The telecommunications services sector was the top contributor to market turnover, while the capital goods sector was the second highest contributor to market turnover. Foreign investors were net buyers, purchasing stocks worth 403 million rupees, while domestic investors were net sellers, offloading shares worth 2.11 billion rupees. With that, let's have a look at how the rupee traded against other currencies as the day progressed. A statement by Fitch Ratings said that it has downgraded Sri Lanka's based Hella Apparel Holdings PLC's national long-term rating to BB+ from AA- with a negative outlook. Meanwhile, the Lanka rating agency has rested the asset line finance at A-, said the reflecting is due to its financial standing in the lending market. Susiko Bakers, a subsidiary of Shrinko Enterprises Private Limited, has claimed gold for industry excellence for medium-scale enterprises for the 6th time at the National Industry Excellence Awards 2023 under new Managing Director Suvimal Rupasinghe. Chief amongst accolades is the ever-ballooning 78 tons of Sri Lankan baker items that are now being exported to the US and Australia. With that, let's take a look at the corporate affairs segment for the day.
Sri Lanka's Hella Apparel Holdings was downgraded by Fitch Ratings to BB+ with a negative outlook. A statement by Fitch Ratings said the downgrade follows the sharp deterioration in Hella's financial profile following the apparel manufacturer's significant adjustment of financial accounts from the interim accounts during its annual audit for the financial year ended March 2023. Lanka Rating Agency has rated the Asset Line Finance Limited to A- to reflect its medium size and its solid standing in the lending market. LRA said the rating is dependent on the relative positioning of the AFL in the sector and its ability to maintain sustained funding plans, ensuring the bottom line remains robust. The ratings also depend upon the company's continued efforts to enhance their collection efficiency. Susico Bakers, a subsidiary of Shrinko Enterprises Limited, won the Gold Award for Industry Excellence for Medium-Scale Enterprises for the 6th time at the National Industry Excellence Award 2023. With annual exports of approximately 78 tons of Sri Lankan bakery products to the US and Australian markets, the company secured the top spot in a tightly contested race in the bakery and cereal products sector.
The Emirates Group, announcing its half-yearly earnings from the 2023-2024 financial year, said that its net profit grew by 136% to $2.7 billion, surpassing the previous half-year profit of $1.2 billion. The group also reported a before-tax earning of $5.6 billion, up from $4.2 billion due to strong operating profitability. Group revenue was up 20% at $18.3 billion, driven by a strong demand for air transport across the world since the last pandemic travel restrictions were lifted. The group closed the first half year of 2023-2024 financial year with a cash position of $11.6 billion on the 30th of September 2023, compared to $11.6 billion for the whole of the financial year ending on the 31st of March 2023. So far, Emirates has repaid 9.2 billion dirhams of its COVID-19 related loan. The chairman and chief executive of the Emirates Airline Group, Sheikh Ahmed bin Saeed, said that the group has surpassed previous records to report the best half-year performance so far of the group. He further added that the profit for the first 6 months of 2023 to 2024 has nearly matched the records of full-year profits in 2022 and 2023. Sheikh Ahmed also said that the firm is keeping a close watch on headwinds such as rising fuel prices, the strengthening US dollar, inflationary costs and geopolitics. That's all the news I have for you for this evening. I'm Jonathan Benedict. Have a blessed Friday ahead. Good night.